While my wife was getting ready for a weekend getaway with her friend Bonnie, I sat at the dining room table and stared at my laptop. I was simultaneously listening to her. However, that was not the thing that was keeping me from thinking. As Kristen came from our bedroom, she brought with her the appearance of a model walking down the runway. Her overall look, including her jewelry, hair, and makeup, was flawless. There was a heavy luggage that she was pulling behind her. I remarked that was a considerable amount of clothing for a sleepover with Bonnie. As she joked, "You are aware of the kind of girls that we are. I have a very amusing letter that I received this morning and You want to share it to you before you leave, honey? The time required is only 1 minute. It was her fancy watch that she stared at. Nevertheless, I barely have a minute to spare. I am supposed to pick up Bonnie at 10 minutes past the hour. Because I wanted to show her the email that led me to a website that was dedicated to the cheating wife. I turned my laptop around and showed it to her. I should search up cheating wife number 131, according to what it said. After clicking on the link, I was prompted to check a box indicating that I was older than 18 years old. Following my selection of the X in the Yes box, a menu was displayed. During the time that I was scrolling down the page to Dasha 131, Kristen started tapping her shoe in an impatient manner. On the cover page, there was a profile of the wife who had been extramarital. In big black letters, the name Kristen Stanton was written, 1 inch above the surface. A concise biography was then presented after that. A condominium on the Magnificent Mile in Chicago is where Kristen, a Gemini who is 30 years old, makes her home. Despite being married for 8 years, Kristen does not have any children of her own. With the assistance of a personal trainer, she exercises 3 times a week. Kristen would want for you to go on this link so that you may see how stunning her naked body is. Following that, a square that read "click here to enter" appeared on the screen. It's a remarkable coincidence. When you add the letters A and O to her last name, you get Kristen Stanton, which is another name that is exactly the same as the name of my wife of 30 years, Gemini, who has been married for 8 years but the couple does not have any children, and who resides in a condo on the Magnificent Mile. I stole a glimpse to my right. It was as if my wife had never been born. "Hey honey, should I hit the enter key?" I taunted her. All that my wife could muster was a gasp, like if she were suffering from asthma. "I would like to introduce you to Kristen Stanton, my Gemini wife who is 30 years old and lives in a condominium on the Magnificent Mile. She has been married for 8 years, however she does not have any children." Should I press the enter key? The sound of my voice was as if it had been ripped from my very being. "Do you think that was a yes, honey?" I felt tears well up in my eyes as I pressed the enter key. The television displayed a picture of my stunning wife, who was naked and laying on the bed beneath the covers. Not a single word was spoken by Kristen. She threw up all over the wooden floor, and she was unable to talk as she did so. As for me, I remained mute. "I can't believe this is happening to me." She eventually managed to gasp out as another image showed on the screen. "I can't believe this is happening to me as well. Wow, it's incredible to see how much Kristen Stanton like you all. In fact, you are wearing the identical clothing. I want you to remember that I purchased it specifically for you to wear on the occasion of our 7th wedding anniversary. Look at it this way, her bedroom is virtually identical to ours. The same curtains and bedspread, as well as the furniture and everything else. What a dreadful coincidence it is. In the following 2 photographs, she can be seen removing her luxury dress and hurling it to the ground, as if it were a rag. A lace shelf bra, a garter belt, stockings, and high-heeled shoes were the only items of clothing that she was wearing. Honey, do you remember when I surprised you with underwear that looked exactly like this? Not in any other way. For you to put underneath that outfit, I even purchased silk stockings from Paris for you to wear. According to what you mentioned, only a prostitute would wear those. It would appear that the woman depicted in the photographs is a prostitute. Immediately after collapsing into a pool of vomit, Kristen began to cry and curl up into a ball. I was able to see that she was wearing underwear because her dress was pulled up to such a high level. My anger was only increased by this. The laptop was placed in front of her face, and I commanded her to look at it. The subsequent 12 photographs were a striptease, in which Kristen removed one article of clothing at a time until just her smile was visible under the garments. In order to complete the picture, there were close-ups of her legs, with 3 shots. My friend Kristen Stanton referred to me as a pervert when I expressed interest in taking a picture of her while she was wearing only her underwear. Her husband is one lucky man. "Sweetheart, I want you to come up here." These 54 further photos of this piece of human garbage are available. Kristen encircled her chest with her arms and let out a gasp simultaneously. This wheezing generated a sound that was very unsettling. There was a minimum of 1 minute that passed before she was able to stammer. "I am able to explain." "How dare you be so loud? Your wife, who is included in your portfolio, explains everything." An additional photograph of my wife in her underwear came on the screen. "My faith in you has never wavered." To make the lady he loves happy. I have done everything that a man can do, and this is how you are repaying me for all that I have done. Who are you having sexual relations with, you slutty wife? I made a demand. She continued to cough a couple more times in an effort to regain her breath. The corners of her mouth were dripping with bile, to be sure. Is there a name for the son of a scumbag who was responsible for shattering our marriage? My anger caused my voice to shake. You, Jim. On the other hand, she responded to James Bowman by saying, you allowed that son of a bitch to fuck you in our marital bed. A blow from my hand smacked against the table. It was Kristen's screech that was so loud that it completely overpowered the orgasmic moan that she was making on the video. On the other hand, she no longer resembled the stunning woman who appeared on the screen. On Halloween, her hair was unkempt, her makeup was streaked and smeared, and her eyes were bloodshot and blank, giving the impression that she was a corpse. It was a fancy silk garment that she had damaged. Do you remember that we have a prenuptial agreement that gives you nothing? If you cheat on your partner, because of your dishonesty, you will not receive anything. You're betraying whore, you need to move out of my condo as soon as possible. My ankles were grasped by Kristen's hands as she rushed to my feet. Oh no, I swore to myself that this never took place. I have never even had the opportunity to meet him. I was going to, but I interrupted her chattering. Today I was going to. It was planned that you would see him today, however, someone noticed the images of your whore wife and sent them to me just in time to prevent you from meeting each other. If it weren't for it, you would be having sexual relations with him right this very moment. Tell the truth and acknowledge it. However, you assert that you have never had the opportunity to meet him. What kind of a fool that you think I am? I'm sure you think I'm a complete and utter moron here. Where did those photographs come from if you never had the opportunity to meet him? No, it's not that. While I was ranting, saliva was flying out of my mouth. Happily, I sent them to him by email. Are you sure? Apparently, you want me to think that you sent photographs like that to a man whom you have never met before. Absolutely incomprehensible. She stutteringly responded, Yeah, I am. Please respond to this. In the event that you have never met him, I don't understand how he managed to capture a picture of you naked inside our home. In the bed that we share, I make a growling sound if you have never met him. These photographs were taken by Bonnie using my camera. The same Bonnie who promised to sleep with me if I provided her husband a job, and I screwed her over. Bonnie, our close friend Bonnie, our maid of honor, and the same Bonnie who offered to sleep with me. On the contrary, I informed you of everything that took place immediately. After it occurred, and ordered that you never again interact with her in any way by any means. She was a problem, as I had warned you. She is a burglar in the house. The reason I gave him the position was because you asked me to, and I loved you so much that I could never say no to you. Even after what she did, I still had to give him the job. It comes to an end today. You have eliminated that aspect of me. In the morning of Monday, Randy's rear end is going to be in line for unemployment benefits, and it doesn't matter to me if they end up losing their home, and you may be sure that I will share everything with him. Our marriage was shattered by her, and I am going to ruin hers after that. As Kristen became aware of the consequences of her actions, she yelled something that was incomprehensible. Please hand over your phone, laptop, and camera to me. I have never performed a single check on you, so I am not aware of your passwords. Make sure to jot things down so that I can check what you have said. Any evidence that leads me to believe that you had sexual relations with him, or anybody else other than me, will result in your arse being kicked out of the house, and I will send those images of you to everyone. I will try to locate an email address for you, your parents, your relatives, your friends, and everyone else I can find. I will not give up until there is nothing left of you that I can continue to despise. It was at that same moment that her phone alerted her to the arrival of a text message by beeping. I recited it out loud. As quickly as possible, I checked into room 488. Permit me to speculate, it is not Bonnie. In a negative manner, she shook her head. I was wondering where hotel the cretin checked into. Kristen exhibited some reluctance. You still have a sliver of optimism that this marriage can be saved. If you stop lying and accept what you did, then that will be the case. In any other case, the next call will be to the residence of my attorney, Palmer. But don't utter a single word, not even a single syllable, and nothing else. Clean up this room and take a shower, because you are a foul odor. It is possible that I will not be horrified by you when I see you if you use sufficient amounts of shampoo, soap, and hot water. As soon as you are finished, you should remain in the bedroom and reflect on the damage you have caused to our marriage. And if I want to talk to you, I'll give you a call. Please, Kristen, leave this place. While the naked photographs of my wife were scrolling on my laptop, I continued to sit at the table in the dining room in the same position. At least for the time being, my wife emerged from the house wearing a pair of worn-out jeans and a sweater with a lot of volume. A pair of tennis shoes that did not have laces was what she was wearing. In the event that you choose to expel me, this is the only thing I was able to locate prior to our wedding. Her words were stuttering, and she was staring at the ground. This woman appeared pitiful. Against her skin that was completely devoid of color, her bulging red eyes appeared to be of a demonic nature. I am grateful to you. I am impressed by the first intelligent thing you have done today. Please take a seat now. I checked out the photographs that are stored on your camera, and they are identical to the ones that are displayed on your website. In addition, I have saw the reflection of that scumbag Bonnie in the mirror in at least 2 of them, which is why I trust you. Only a split second of her gaze was directed at me. My news is both excellent and bad. I have both. I phoned my information technology staff, the same crew that you usually make fun of. Upon hearing about what you had done, they asked me, boss, what are some options for us? Not until today did I come to the realization that they detested you because of the condescending manner in which you looked at them. They did not waste any time in finding a way to exact revenge. Currently, I can image them taking pleasure in the photographs of you. Again, Kristen began to cry out in tears. If you don't care who knows you're a slut, then don't worry about it. On the other hand, I am concerned about my reputation in this community. They informed me that the website would be taken down at any moment. Did you find that to be true? You have been seen naked by more than 250,000 people. Poachers, or malicious webmasters who take photographs from other websites and use them for their own purposes, are the most significant source of the problem. It is believed that this picture of you is the most popular, and it can be found on more than 100 various websites. On the other hand, given that your name and address are not made public, I said that it was fine. For their talents, there are other tasks that are more urgently needed to be done. My computer screen went completely dark at that very time. You are so kind, Kristen said. I have read all of your communications, and it is clear to me that Bonnie was the one who devised your affair. This website is for spouses who are hunting for evidence of infidelity, and she convinced you to visit it. Kirsten gave a confident shake of her head. Because of what you wrote to that predator about me and our marriage, I am so humiliated that I cannot even begin to convey how betrayed I feel. I was completely unaware that you were a bigot. The tears started coming so quickly that I was unable to complete my sentence. Kristen had the sensation that she was numb. Although she had her lips open, she was unable to utter a single syllable. The words "I thought you loved me" came out of my mouth as I buried my face in my hands. When Kristen was crying out, she bent down and placed her head on my lap. I love you, she said. Your love is greater than everything else in the entire world. I am unable to conceive of a life without you. At that moment, I lifted her face and told her, I read every word you wrote. An expression appeared on her face that I had only seen once before. And that was when I had to break the news to my mother that my father had passed away as a result of a vehicle accident. It was still possible to see her actual body. All of the things that made her who she was have been taken away. We remained seated in that position for a considerable amount of time, until her phone rang to alert her to the arrival of another text message. It was Bonnie who sent it. Are you having a good time? It was shown to Kristen by me. There was no response from her to anything. With all of my strength, I got up and hurled the phone as hard as I could into the wall. There were shards of glass and broken pieces of plastic flying about the room. After taking a seat again, I retrieved a chair for Kristen to sit in. It was important to me that she not touch me again. After breaking into that cunt's computer, the guys discovered became withdrawn for a brief period of time. As she sat in her chair, Kristen remained silent and slumped over. As soon as I was able to compose myself enough to continue, I did so. In addition to that, the lads broke into the computer of the cretin. They discovered an email that he had sent to a half-dozen men, in which he boasted that he was going to place cameras in the hotel room so that they could watch him spend time with his new whore in real time. You were so close to becoming a pornographic star on the internet. Karen gripped her throat and began coughing once more, but she was unable to vomit up because there was nothing left in her stomach. Things are starting to look up. In addition to that, he boasted about getting a vasectomy while lying to you about it. I also failed to mention that he was suffering from a new herpes sore. In other words, he intended to try to get you pregnant and give you a sexual ailment that could not be cured this coming weekend. My tone was cynical as I remarked. What a prince among men. As Karen began to slip off the chair, I grabbed her and pulled her to safety. It appeared as though she was sluggish, and her respiration was shallow. After carrying her to the couch, I positioned her on the couch. She was jolted back to her senses by a splash of ice-cold water that hit her face. After assisting her in sitting up and taking a drink, I handed her a glass of water. I beg you, please let me pass away. I am of no value to you. To keep from grabbing her in my arms and assuring her that everything was going to be fine required every ounce of strength I could muster. On the contrary, I proceeded. A malicious worm was added to the emails that were sent out by the individuals to the computers that were intended to be providing your audience with information. Not a single one of them will ever again read anything that is written on those boxes. After then, I gave the go-ahead for the ground to be burned in retaliation against the cretin. Within his computer, they discovered photographs of him engaging in sexual activity with 3 other women. He didn't appear to be bothered by the fact that they appeared to be stale old whores. It's no wonder that he exerted such a great deal of effort to convince you to care about the marital vows we took. The phrase "one can't believe how stupid I am" was repeated by Kristen while she hung her head. This businessman who travels the world is actually working as an assistant manager at a hardware shop in some backwoods town in Wisconsin. I hope I'm not wrecking your illusions by revealing this information. Also, would you believe that he serves as a member of the school board in addition to being a deacon at his church? Again, Kristen let out a groan. It is unfortunate for him that his church, like the PTA, has a list of potential members to choose from. For the sake of amusement, they put together a PowerPoint presentation that included a song in the country style about a husband who was cheating on his wife and distributed it to everyone. A great number of people in Wisconsin had their eyes pop out of their heads as a result of it. In addition to that, they destroyed his computer and mobile phone, which resulted in all of his photographs of you being lost. But the one that I adore the most, the guys got into the servers of the credit card company to declare that all of the bastard's cards had been stolen, including the one he used to book your love nest. This is just a brilliant example of the guy's crazy genius. Although I have no interest in knowing what they did, there are multiple warrants out for his arrest for identity theft. I don't even want to know what they did. In light of the warrants, it is reasonable to believe him to be armed and dangerous. Any moment now, he ought to be taken into custody. With any luck, he will put up a fight. It has been confirmed to me by the boys that this will be the most prominent story on the evening news. Unpaid parking citations have resulted in the towing of his 15-year-old SUV, which he will discover when he exits the vehicle. I believe that his wife has been receiving phone calls, and based on those calls, I do not believe that he will be released on bail anytime soon. It is a blessing that they do not have any children. I almost feel sorry for his wife since she is married to a piece of human crap who attempted to destroy our marriage. I feel sad for her. It's not quite accurate to say that I regret anything I did in order to shield the lady I love from a potential danger, because I don't genuinely regret anything I did, and in accordance with everything that is holy. You may count on me to exact vengeance on any man who makes an attempt to take my wife. And I will not stop until he is completely devastated. The question was asked with a feeble smile by Kristen. Does that mean that I am still your wife? Are you still interested in being there? I gave a grin to my most desirable wife. Her eyes became bright with excitement. 1,000 times yes, yes, and yes again. When I grow up, I want to be your wife. In order to make amends to you, I will do anything, anything at all. I beg you to give me one more opportunity. You won't be glad you did it. To show her affection for me, she encircled me with her arms and kissed me profusely. For the rest of my life, I would like to be your wife and spend my entire existence with you. My heart is broken that I caused you pain. For a moment, when I saw the expression on your face, I considered jumping off the balcony of our apartment. Not only because of the photographs, but also because I had disappointed the man I love. I felt an overwhelming sense of humiliation. This is not a falsehood on my part. It is going to be a very long time before I am able to trust you once more. I gave my response. You came to my rescue. By preventing me from becoming unfaithful and breaking my promise to abandon everyone else, you rescued me from doing both. To me, you are the hero and the rescuer. For the rest of my life, I solemnly pledge that I will never again give you a reason to mistrust me. I am the one who has brought you a great deal of suffering. You still adore me, don't you? It was with a tremble in her voice that she inquired. To the same extent that you honored me by becoming my wife, my partner, and my soul lover, I am grateful to you. Additionally, you are the only man I have ever loved. You are the only man with whom I have ever had a sexual encounter, and I will continue to repeat it each and every day for the rest of our lives. Are you ever going to be able to find it within yourself to forgive me? You have my forgiveness, my wife. I have always known that you love me, but it wasn't until today that I realized how much you love me. I told you that you are going to have to make a lot of adjustments to things. I don't want you to ever talk, text, or do anything else with that home wrecker again, Bonnie included. I want you to stop doing all of those things. You should just keep walking if you come across her in public. This is my word to you. For the sake of our marriage, I will do whatever it takes to save it. In addition, it goes without saying that you must never again interact with that cretin because there is no possibility of a second opportunity. I solemnly pledge that I will never at any point put our marriage in jeopardy with him or anybody else. Using my fingers, I ran them through her hair. It is almost 5 o'clock. Do you feel that you are able to consume something to eat? Let me inquire. May I begin with a kiss? During the subsequent 15 minutes, our tongues spent time getting to know one another. Get dressed right away. Considering that you are the most amazing and understanding husband in the world, what would you like me to wear? The presents that I gave to you on our most recent anniversary were favorites of mine. Is it the same as the one seen in the picture? Similar to the photo in every way. As you wish, my wife responded with a blush on her face. A final word. Our marriage has never been stronger than it is now, even after 2 years have passed. Now that we are 6 and 9 weeks away from becoming parents, I have never seen my beloved in such an ecstatic state of excitement. Despite the fact that, it may sound cheesy, she is really radiant. This was the last time Kristen ever heard from Bonnie. I agreed to Kristen's demands and did not terminate the employment of Bonnie's husband. As a result of the divorce, Randy was awarded custody of their son, who was 10 years old at the time. With the assistance of his mother, Randy demonstrated that he was a very capable single parent. In addition, he had improved his talents at work, in which he had become a devoted employee. A total of 2 weeks were spent in the Cook County Jail by the cretin before they were eventually able to untangle the malice that the lads had imposed on him. He never received a visit from his ex-wife, and she never answered any of his phone calls. After he was freed from prison, he was fired from his work, he was divorced, and he even lost his home. Unfortunately for him, he became a passion for the guys, and they go to great lengths to ensure that his credit history is always a disaster. There are at least 3 unscrupulous individuals who are utilizing his name and social security number, as it appears. Currently, he resides in a rusted SUV that, for some unknown reason, is prone to receiving traffic penalties. At 5 in the morning, he uses it to work on his route, which consists of delivering newspapers. I'm curious as to whether or not he is aware that his license has been revoked. You may be wondering who it was that sent me this letter. I might say that I did, but I needed a lot of assistance. For several weeks, I had the impression that Kristen's behavior had undergone a dramatic shift. In addition, she was a very coy person. The possibility that she was having an affair started to scare me. I eventually conquered my pride and told my IT men, who are 2 of the most intelligent computer people I've ever encountered, everything that was going on. They installed spyware on the PC that the considerate parents use for their children. The day before everything was scheduled to fall apart, they learned that the cretin had somehow managed to convince her to go through with it. After taking a seat at the table, we went through her emails and spoke about the various alternatives we had. An ingenious strategy to save my marriage was beginning to take shape. I am unable to reveal how things turned out since the individuals involved may have violated a few laws and would prefer that their magic never be brought into the light of day. On the other hand, the photographs of Kristen were never uploaded to the Hoary Wives website. My laptop was the only device that could access the website that the guys created. I was shown how to control it so that it would appear as though I was connected to the internet. In addition to being bait, it was also a hook, line, and sinker. Moreover,